Water. It's essential for life on Earth to exist. Without water, after about 3 days, most people would succumb to severe dehydration and kick the bucket. Generally speaking, due to the overabundance of water, or at least in some parts of the world, the price of water is relatively cheap, and oftentimes in the US, you can get it for free. So despite water being essential to survive, the price of water is essentially zero. On the contrary, compared to the usability of water, diamonds essentially serve no purpose. However, they are astronomically higher in value than water per unit. This phenomenon was pointed out in texts written thousands of years ago by the philosopher Plato, but more recently was brought into economic scrutiny by the economist Adam Smith in his book, An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations. Today, we will be examining the rationale behind this discrepancy and taking a dive into the classic economics conundrum, the paradox of value. In The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith, he attempts to attribute the discrepancy between water and diamond prices by utilizing the labor theory of value. This theory states that labor is the mechanism by which prices are attributed to various goods. For example, an expensive bottle of wine from France would come from an expensive plot of land and have highly paid and skilled workers. The more labor and the more difficult the production process, the more expensive the good. This explains the low price of water because water takes essentially no effort to produce. A diamond could potentially be required to undergo expensive cleaning, cutting, and polishing processes, which would inflate the price. However, this doesn't take into account a scenario where someone could be going for a hike and just randomly stumble upon a huge diamond. The production cost of this diamond would be almost zero, but it would have a very high price. Therefore, we need another economics mechanism to describe the prices of water and diamonds. A better way to analyze this paradox is to utilize subjective value, which takes into account marginal and total utility. In subjective value, costs do not drive prices, but rather the inverse is true. Prices drive costs. In our example involving the expense of wine, the high price of wine drives the land to be valuable and the workers to be highly paid because the price of wine can sustain this economic activity. The same is true for diamonds. Diamonds essentially cost so much because they are valued highly and are seen as rare. This explains the high price of diamonds, but doesn't take into account why diamonds are so much more expensive than water, which is essential for life. To determine this, we will utilize the discrepancy between marginal and total utility. Essentially, as the demands for both water and diamonds increase, consumers need to make the decision between obtaining one more unit of water and one more unit of diamonds. In terms of marginal costs, having one more unit of water will cost essentially nothing, whereas the marginal cost for obtaining another unit of diamond will be very expensive. It is not the total usefulness of diamonds or water that is determining the price, but rather the usefulness of each additional unit. As more units of water are provided, the usefulness of one more unit has a diminishing return. With diamonds, since they're considered rare, one more additional unit of diamond will be more valuable than one more additional unit of water, given enough supply of water. For example, if someone was dying of dehydration in a desert, they would easily pay more per unit of water than for a unit of diamond because the water has a very high marginal utility to them, whereas the diamond would provide almost no utility.